We have a clip from the fire department chief talking about diversity and how important that is.
I'm super inspired.
She took time out of her already busy schedule to tell us about her vision for the department's future, one that includes a 3-year strategic plan to increase diversity.
People ask me, well, what number are you looking for? So I'm not looking for a number. It's never enough.
Out of 3,300 city firefighters, only 115 are women right now. She's already looking at ways to change that. She's quick to point out that doing so has a greater purpose, attracting the best and brightest for the job.
They feel included, they feel valued, and they feel part of a cohesive team.
Okay, so...
All right, moving right along here. Welcome to the Jimmy Dore Show, everybody. Keaton and Russ from Do Dissidents here, filling in for Jimmy while he is on the road. So, Chris Cuomo welcomed Mark Epstein to his show. You know how this worked. It's Mark Epstein needs somebody to interview him, and we need someone who can identify with having to run cover for your sex pest brother. And Cuomo was like, me. I am uniquely qualified to interview Mark Epstein. And so he did, sporting a new look there with that mustache. He looks like if like Leon Trotsky were from Montclair, New Jersey. That's what he would look like. That's his new look. Looking sharp. Mark Epstein. In 2016, Jeffrey told me if he said what he knew about the candidates, they'd have to cancel the election, implying dirt both on Trump and the Clintons, of course.
2016, I said this publicly before. Jeffrey told me that if he said what he knew about the candidates, they'd have to cancel the election. He didn't tell me what he knew, but Jeffrey definitely had dirt on Trump. And you could see in the emails, Trump could deny it all he wants, but it's pretty clear. I mean, everything Trump says is a lie.
But that's not what you were talking about.
It's provable that he was in Jeffrey's office. He said he wasn't in the house. It's provable he was there. He said everything he says is a lie.
Everything he says is a lie. Of course, it was Mark Epstein's email about blowing Bubba that got his name in the news, because it was Mark Epstein's email about whether or not Putin has a photo of Trump blowing Bubba, which everyone assumed was Bill Clinton. And then Mark very aptly clarified, no, Bubba refers to the horse, not to Bill Clinton, which
makes him much better.
Cleaned it all up. Yeah. Right. The work is done over here. Mark Epstein continues. The reason they're going to be releasing these things, the reason for the flip, is that they're sanitizing the files. So he says there's a facility in Winchester, Virginia, where they're scrubbing the files to take Republican names out.
About is I've been recently told the reason they're going to be releasing these things and the reason for the flip is that they're sanitizing these files. There's a facility in Winchester, Virginia, where they're scrubbing the files to take Republican names out of it. That's what I was told by a pretty good source.
That's what he was told by a pretty good source. Now, we don't know who that source is, but if you remember, a while back in September, James O'Keefe had this report, which said essentially the same thing. DOJ, Deputy Chief, admits government will redact every Republican while leaving all the liberal Democratic people on the Epstein client list.
This.
Yeah, thousands and thousands of pages of files. They'll redact every Republican or conservative person in those files, leave all the liberal Democratic people in those files.
All right. You got what you need. All right. Now, why don't you pull that top up? Is that how this works? I know who you are. You think you're fooling me? I know how the O'Keefe operation works, right? Trying to honeypot me there. Give you a scoop.
There ain't no honeypot without the honey.
I give you a scoop. Now let's get busy.
Well, those files do exist.
Yeah, thousands and thousands of pages of files. They'll redact every Republican or conservative person in those files, leave all the liberal Democratic people in those files.
All right, so that seems to corroborate what Mark Epstein has to say, and the plot thickens a bit because we know they're looking. So Donald Trump truths out. This was before he caved on the Epstein vote. He says, now that the Democrats are using the Epstein hoax involving Democrats, not Republicans, to try and deflect from their disastrous shutdown and all of their other failures, I will be asking AG Bondi and the Department of Justice, together with our great patriots at the FBI, to investigate Jeffrey Epstein's involvement and relationship with Bill Clinton, Larry Summers, Reid Hoffman, J.P. Morgan, Chase, and many other people. Stephen King, Rosie O'Donnell, Robert De Niro, Joy Behar,
Phyllis Diller.
Whoopi Goldberg, Rachel Maddow, Chris Hayes, never liked him, and institutions to determine what was going on with them and him. This is another Russia scam with all arrows pointing to the Democrats. Records show that these men and many others spent large portions of their life with Epstein and on his island. Stay tuned. Attorney General Pam Bondi. Thank you, Mr. President. SDNY U.S. Attorney Jay Clayton is one of the most capable and trusted prosecutors in the country, and I've asked him to take the lead. As with all matters, the department will pursue this urgency and integrity to deliver answers to the American people. And she was asked about this today at her press conference about the Epstein files, and she says, we're not going to have anything else to say on disclosures because now, guess what? It's a pending investigation in the Southern District of New York. There you go, pulling that card out of the deck.
The issue with the new information that you just indicated, is the department seeking information perhaps from the Epstein estate because Mr. Blanche did not have that information when he interviewed Ghislaine Maxwell? What new information, and would you limit the new investigation to just those named persons that the president talked about, or is this a broad, open-ended investigation?
I would refer to the Deputy Attorney General's post that he put out on X, and we're not going to say anything else on that because now it is a pending investigation in the Southern District of New York.
No answer. Punts. Now look, I don't want to call her a liar, even though I did in the last segment. I looked at what tweet she could have been referring to because Todd Blanche, Deputy AG, I saw no such tweet about this. He retweeted this. He retweeted what she had said. Unless I was looking in the wrong, it's possible I was looking in the wrong place. I looked at his official account. I didn't see, some of these people have like government accounts and personal accounts. I only saw his government account. I could not find a personal account. So I'm not saying she's making that up. I'm just saying I looked for the statements that she referred them to on X. I could not find it. I couldn't find it. So I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm saying it's difficult to find. It's difficult to find because I am doing a job today. It was part of my job to find it. I couldn't find it. So I don't know what the hell she's talking about. Refer to his statement on X. No, what you have here is obviously a black box, right? They are being as vague as possible and saying as little as possible. She won't say, no, we're going to broaden the investigation. We're going to release everything. No, I'm not even giving you that. I'm saying refer to the SDNY.
Or is this a broad, open-ended investigation?
I would refer to the Deputy Attorney General's post that he put out on X.
Again, I don't know where that is.
We're not going to say anything else on that because now it is a pending investigation in the Southern District of New York. But
there you go.
Point.
And now Cash Patel will speak a little bit about his upcoming novella, 50 Shades of Cash.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I mean, so you can't even get an answer there. So you have to say that this just adds another layer of shit to this. Whereas now, you can't even trust that you're getting the full release. I mean, this is, and again, for Pam Bondi and Cash Patel, it's amazing because they started all this with that July memo. They could have dragged this out. Yeah, they'd have gotten shit from the base. Hey, where's the Epstein files? Like, yeah, we're getting to, we're working on or whatever, right? Sending that memo is what set all of this off. And speaking of Cash Patel, by the way, Mark Epstein was not done. He went on to accuse Cash Patel of covering up his brother's murder. Oops, sorry, wrong clip.
He's dead. There's no choice. So I don't care of the implications of the files. That's other people's problems. My brother did not commit suicide, and we're finding more information to prove that he didn't commit suicide. So the question becomes, who killed him? Well, who had him killed? I mean, Bill Barr is key to this cover. He's come up with so much bullshit, okay, and lies, demonstrable, provable lies, okay, that it's either he's covering it up or he's stupid. What?
All right. So one thing at a time. We've discussed the fact that you don't think your brother killed himself on the Chris Cuomo Project on my podcast. People can go check out that conversation. The head of the FBI and his number two, both of who used to suggest exactly what you are, says now that they've looked at everything, there is no proof that it was anything but suicide. Cash
Stop
Patel,
right there.
Dan
Stop
Bongino.
right there. Stop right there. They didn't look at anything. There was never a suicide-capable a homicide-capable investigation done. They called it a suicide early on to stop the investigation. If you read the DOJ report, it's all about the screw-ups in the jails. Cameras not working, guards not doing their job. It doesn't address the issue of the cause of his death. And it was misrepresented as a suicide because they didn't want to investigate. And more information.
So you're
is coming
accusing the head of the FBI in this administration of a cover-up?
Absolutely. He said, he was the one who said in his testimony, you know it's suicide when you see one. I had to laugh. How many suicides has that jackass seen? Okay? He's not a doctor. He's not a pathologist. He never saw Jeffrey's body. He wasn't there, but he knows a suicide.
Well, he's certainly changed his story about it. But I want to ask you
they certainly did change their story about it. And they certainly released that video that they said was proof he didn't do it. And then, remember, it was revealed that that video did not show the full unobstructed pathway into Jeffrey Epstein's cell, which means it actually proved nothing. So, yeah, you got Mark Epstein, who was hot on their trail, working his angle of the case as well. Nobody believes anything. Nobody believes anything. This is why this is the undoing of MAGA, because these people have no credibility to anyone on anything. It's just one lie after another, one deflection after another, one non-answer after another. Even if everything goes according to plan and these files are released in 2 weeks, how do you trust you have the whole picture here when they can redact whatever they feel is necessary to, and they're under order from the president to investigate one part of it, but not the other? And Pam Bondi would not say, no, we're going to broaden it out. She wouldn't say that. She completely punted on that. So how do you even trust this, even if it goes according to how it should, assuming this bill gets signed?
I am not clear on how much control they have over documents. Because certainly with the Nixon administration, there's the famous missing, 11 minutes of that tape, which we can assume they tampered with the evidence that they had in their possession, but they weren't able to tamper with all of it, or there wouldn't have been a Watergate, right? I mean, they would have just burned everything. So I don't understand exactly how that works. There must be certain strictures on their access to that material and their ability to alter it. Otherwise, there are a lot of scandals that just never would have broke if they just had untrammeled access to these documents and just the ability to just do whatever they want with them. No scandal would ever break if that were the case. So it seems like there are some kind of limitations on them. That having been said, I will say, maybe we'll cover this tomorrow. There was an article that just dropped that 600 people were fired from the Department of Justice and another 2,000 quit because they could see the writing on the wall. They don't want to be in the dock themselves in a few years. They don't want to be complicit with this administration. So maybe there are people who under a more normal administration would have been responsible for making sure these documents stay pristine, who have now been replaced with loyalists. We just really don't know.
All righty.